Thank you. Good evening. I believe it's time to begin. Greetings and welcome. My name is Reverend Mary Huber.
I forgot about it.
I'm pastor of the Community Chapel of Holistic Healing, and also known as CCWH. We are a non-denominational, nonprofit spiritual fellowship founded in 1977 by Reverend Michelle Luson, a mystic and channel for the multidimensional consciousness which we carry here in our organization. She had an apparition by Swami Sivananda in which he asked her to start the organization and to position it here near the nation's capital so that there would be additional light for the capital. We are here to aid in personal and global transformation. CCWH has chapel services twice a month, as well as classes and other offering spiritual healing. Of course, now with the COVID, we are on a distance healing only. We also maintain a prayer list, and you might ask us to put someone you would think needs help on that list. At this time, I think it'd be good if we everyone goes on mute. And thank you. Before we begin all of our services, we have our affirmations of faith, hope, and charity. These are also known as the three healers. The spirit channeled through Michelle, these for the purpose of balance and harmony of all our energy systems. So you can read them along with me as I recite this. The faith affirmation. I believe in the spiritual existence of myself as a perfect image of the divine creator. In this reflection that is my physical embodiment, I have faith in the supreme guidance of my soul for my balance, my needs, and my opportunities. Outside of myself, there are also perfect images, and nothing can delude my thinking otherwise. Hope affirmation. Acknowledging my faith in the omnipresence of my divinity, I hope for realization, awareness, and acknowledgement of the existence of the great I am within myself. Charity affirmation. In understanding faith, in knowing hope, I pledge my actions, my desires, and my thoughts to the performances of myself on the physical planes of the earth, to honor, to love, and to enlighten all that is a reflection of the divine outside myself, so that my perfection is imaged back to my creator. So help me God. Well, tonight's topic is time and eternity. At some extremely high level of consciousness in ourselves, all is known. However, we are not operating at that level, and so we have to operate out of our known universe at the moment and do what we've been given to do. Time is both a tool and a way to unravel oneself with some sort of an erosion, if it's understood as that. Because time is both horizontal, marching us along toward our exit from this world, but it's also vertical, also called a no time of eternity, which is sacred time. That kind of time is accessible through meditation, prayer, artistic creativity, dreams, daydreams, and the such, and offers us a sense of refreshment and a getting in touch with the eternal. People lived on the planet in the past eras, much in tune with the earth and its changing, indicating seasons of the year. Time to plant, time to harvest. These in turn indicated the rituals to perform. The daily movement of the sun and the ability to navigate by stars kept people in touch with time. Up until the Industrial Revolution, that's how we mainly, as human beings, tuned into life. We looked at the weather and it told us how to spend our time and energy. I would suppose that people in those eras felt more attuned to the cosmos as a natural part of their daily life. When people give up so much time to the computer, the TV, the phone, and find it difficult to carve even a small amount of time out of each day for inner work, the whole person health, even that can suffer. How can prayer and meditation be an intrusion on anyone's life? And why do some people consider it to be an extraordinary request when suggested that they spend a few minutes in that activity? But on the other hand, there are many who still are considered go into those non-productive times, things that the other people are calling non-productive. There are many people on the planet who are doing that. And they usually belong to more traditional, older spiritual traditions. For instance, the devout Muslim, my dear Sufi friend and her community, many Catholics from the older traditions as well. And other newer spiritual societies promote regular meditations and prayers and other simple routines too. And these are exactly the personal times each one needs to claim for themselves. So to these people, I say you are a model for the future. Your continuing spiritual practices have been the source of great light on earth. And when it comes to the use of time in the modern world, among the vast majority of westernized societies, it's a different story. Interesting to note that over the past 100 years or more, laborers struggled so hard to have personal time considerations. Now, having won it, and having won it for a while, are willing to give it away to exclusively to technology or mindless entertainment venues. It is actually becoming an enslavement of the psyche for them. Now, the clock time originally was really designed to be a good time for ourselves to get in touch with routines that we need. It actually is starting to become our master rather than our servant. Gary Eberle, in his book, Sacred Time and Search for Meaning, refers to the Book of Hours. He said that in the distant past, this book would be carried around by the individual so they could easily open it and recite the devotions and prayers appropriate to the day and time. We can see portraits of the wealthy and powerful from those times depicting them with this book in their hand. But today, no one but a few would even know that this practice even existed. Instead, people carry around their life on a small phone/computer with their appointments and to-do list. These are very often linked to clock alarms on the phone to tell them when the appointment is there to be done. I know there are people who also use this device for scheduling their meditations, but probably not as many to do that kind of work, inner work. The Book of Hours in the past took people to vertical time. The phone calendar and its association with other calendars take us to horizontal time. Now, the Book of Hours was well known 2,000 years ago. The Jewish mystical community of the Essenes had very regulated devotions throughout the day. They assigned the sacredness of all life to the care of angels and had timed devotions to those angels. Our modern versions of the old Book of Hours has its beginning in the early monasteries. Their time for work and prayer was signaled by the ringing of bells. This is the very beginning. And for untold centuries, they were using these kind of techniques for their spiritual practices. They also were dictated by what to do in their day by their elders, authorities, and I know that those authorities took their cues from the position of the sun and other natural promptings. For thousands of years in the East and West, monks practiced regular devotions in addition to their work assignments in the community. The devotions for many included rising in the middle of the night for prayers and meditation. And someone in the community was always responsible to stay awake, watch the changings that they were looking for in the weather and in the stars, and wake everybody up at the proper time. And because of this variation, there were many variations in time. It wasn't such a rigid time that they were holding. So according to the written records in the 1200s, a water clock was invented, which assured more regularity for their schedule. And although their schedule was more precise, they took away from them some of the enjoyment of the flexibility. Now the clock began to determine what happened. The old system of time was lost in this kind of a connection, and therefore the connection to eternity and its sense of the no time. That linear time, the sacred time, the no time, or the eternal present was not enjoyed as much anymore. Our modern world is so used to the fast pace and accounting for virtually every moment of our day that we can feel uncomfortable when we are having nothing to do. And if we are inactive in this outer everyday world, we even feel guilty for not getting something done. The Bible uses the expression, the fullness of time, which can be interpreted as the miraculous moment in which the eternal and the temporal meet. So in that respect, we could experience the seeming void in the day as an abundance of time. We need to think of moment to moment time as not giving us slots to fill, but it as possible that it can offer a prolific, life-giving quality of the universe itself. Remember, the source of life that creates and sustains the whole universe, that drives planets and upholds all creation, is the same life that flows through each of us. It has been said that in experiencing the intersection of the linear and horizontal time, it can be perhaps best understood through ritual. A ritual occurs when there is a threshold between the two worlds, the sacred and the mundane. In ritual, we try to experience sacred time. That's the purpose of the ritual. And really, I think it's correctly seen that psychologically seems to be inhabiting a place where we can look into both worlds simultaneously. But the lens of our everyday mundane world does not allow us to do that. Victor Turner, in his book, The Ritual Process, says ritual, which is a third choice of experiencing time, can be as simple as a circle drawn on the ground in which a ceremony is performed, or an architecturally magnificent cathedral in which a ceremony is performed. Entry into this experience is by cleansing oneself from the everyday world. In Zen world, or Zen temples and Islamic mosques, they have a requirement that you remove your shoes. And some temples have a place, water is available so you can wash your hands and feet as well. The Catholic Church has always used holy water at the entry so that you bless yourself as you're going in. And these rituals, these activities have to do more with a psychological shift of the individual as much as it is a physical observance. If the rite is effective, the individual shifts out of ordinary consciousness into the sacred time. The clock time should ideally cease to exist there. All of the activities in the rite are there to shift our consciousness. Joseph Campbell said that when we come out of an effective ritual, we find the world to be just so, or the way it should be. And that is the meaning of the word amen. So be it. In Hinduism, the concept of time does not exist. It's an illusion. Everything is infused with the fullness of being, with Brahman. Therefore, although outward forms change, nothing really changes. In Buddhism, Zen teaches that value of remaining in the eternal present, the now. When one is fully present in the moment, one is somehow standing outside of time, which allows one to participate in the ongoing flow of the world. It's popular today to take a course in mindfulness meditation. The premise of the meditation is to remain always in the present and to just be aware, not judging anything, but being aware of it and the character of it. Experience what is being presented to you with fresh eyes. People benefit tremendously from this position, and with practice, nothing escapes observation. In this way, time is used more effectively, and there actually is enough of it in the day to accomplish what the individual wants to do. In this way, meditation becomes a way of life, just not a few minutes of practice every now and then, or even during the day. But not everybody who takes this course actually achieves the high end of it. But it is so worthwhile because it does create more awareness in the day-to-day life. If we can reclaim a sense of sacred time, we would then find a new way of understanding our world and its relationship to eternity. Teilhard de Chardin, the pre-scientist who died in 1955, attempted to do that. He said that science and religion, as well as intelligence and intuition, were not contradictory, but were complementary ways of knowing and participating in the universe. He further said, suppose that we choose to view each person as just pure consciousness, whose purpose and meaning lies in its own unfolding. Then we individually can see that we too can choose to participate in that universal unfolding until we arrive at the utmost limits of ourselves. Of course, since consciousness has no limit, then the endpoint really is infinity or eternity. In other words, each individual is unfolding its consciousness forever. He also believed that the energy that makes all growth possible toward expanded consciousness is love. Love, like consciousness, is built into the very fabric of the universe. He believed that love is the name we give to the power in elements and in species that allows them to combine, to change, and to grow. Well, we started with a talk about time and eternity, and we find ourselves circling back to love. This is, of course, the pervasive force in all worlds, both temporal and sacred. Moving into the eternal is not something that happens upon death of the body. We're always in eternity. We're just currently experiencing a three-dimensional world, which is carved out of a multidimensional one. We are adapted to this three-dimensional existence by virtue of the fact that we inhabit a vehicle, a body, which is necessarily designed to function in that dimension. It has its own energy flows, and these flows do have their own timings. For instance, our time to sleep is built into the body's needs to adjust its various functions to interact with the energy flows of the physical world, and to use the time given during sleep to reconstruct itself from the breaking down process that occurs while we're in the waking state. Albert Einstein said, the only reason for time is it's so that everything doesn't happen at once. And that's true, because we need that perception. We need to know how to drive through our life in order to accomplish anything. But it's also true that there is just a certain amount of time allotted for each lifetime. So in that respect, time is important. When we are existing outside of our body in pure consciousness, then we know that time is non-existent. There is an orderly flow determined by the soul for its own continuing growth, and it exists with other souls in a relationship that is for the mutual benefit and for the benefit of higher orders which exist in the universe. We are ever growing in an upward spiral, seeking and searching for the great creator of all. In the process, we go about our Father's business in accordance with the divine laws which govern all that exists in all universes. Our understanding of the term worlds and dimensions is probably limited to this three-dimensional experience. Our own world is actually composed of many dimensions, most of which are invisible to the average person. Each person has their own version of the world, which has elements of these other dimensions, but they're not all, everybody doesn't piece them together in the same way. And maybe this is a crude analogy that I think about. We weave our reality from threads of awareness or input from many dimensions. And if you can see them as glass beads or glass threads that are creating a pair of glasses. And we see the world through the lens of these glasses. And there is a different prescription for each person. This depends on their own level of consciousness and evolvement. The thread from the mental dimension, which has developed specific belief patterns about self or others or situations and locks it in, will always have that factor in the lens as we viewing ourself or our situation in the world. If our life is working out for us and we are happy, there is no need to change the glasses. However, if the opposite is true, it is time to get a new prescription. So if one is depressed or sad about their life, get your muscles moving by walking outdoors and relate to God's grand creation of nature kingdom. Appreciate life there and see how it flows with God's plan. Breathe it in and come back refreshed and restored. And then extend this same thing to your experience of your own day. Appreciate yourself and your life. Be in the divine moment in time when these changes can be made. Recognize that in this time, in this place, you are unfolding into eternity, an expanded version of this aspect of your greater self. Once we learn the lesson of the three-dimensional world, we can move into the fourth. Here we can begin to find the concept that past, present, and future, all being one, is more easily accessed. We have been hearing about the world consciousness entering the fifth dimension, but it is important to note a few facts about the fourth. According to the book, We the Arcturians, the fourth dimension has been coming into the planet since the time of Jesus. He actually came in the planet to introduce the quality of the fourth dimension. And that quality of the journey is the inward journey and the expression of love. He also taught that people must forgive. Therefore, he taught that all must learn love and forgiveness before they can master the fifth dimension, which is the ability there to manifest things using only the force of love. Applying self to this progression of mastery is done in the now. The time allotted for us to make our transformation of self in the eternal now. If one has accomplished the transformation of consciousness to be only of love and forgiveness, then that individual can go forward on the planet to build the new earth. Only those of the fifth dimensional consciousness will be allowed by God to populate the earth in the not too distant future. And I would like to leave you with a phrase given to us by Henry David Thoreau. He said, quote, he says, "You must live in the present, launch yourself on every wave, find your eternity in each moment," unquote. By tapping into the eternal sacred time while in the limited world allows the psyche to experience the peace it so much seeks. It nourishes and stimulates, while at the same time is relaxing and strengthening to the holistic arrangement of your body, mind, and soul. Thank you. At this time, we have our meditation. Thank you.
Down on as we feel ourselves relax. We feel ourselves taking our deep breaths in and out. Taking these deep breaths in and out, we feel relaxed from head to toe. We feel a bit like a great tree as we begin to reach our roots down into the ground. We feel our roots reach down firmly planting us in the earth, in the solidity of reality. Firmly supported, firmly planted, firmly grounded. Continuing our deep breaths, we reach up, stretching ourselves towards the heavens, towards the God light, as a tree stretches its own branches toward the light. We feel ourselves bringing down this higher energy, this energy of love, of light, of peace and joy. We feel ourselves fully opened to the energy of the heavens, calm, bright, full of peace. Continuing our deep breaths, we feel these two energies as they balance, the energies of the earth and the heavens. Now fully aligned, we find ourselves protected by a bubble of white light, which surrounds us on all sides. As we feel the bubble take shape and surround us, it's almost as though it clicks into place, and we become deeply aware that we are protected. We are safe. Now we are grounded, we are connected, we are protected. As we begin our journey to our own sacred space, our own inner temple of light, a safe place where we can connect to the divine, where we can awaken to our inner worlds, where we can find peace and rejuvenation. We find ourselves in a sacred place now. It can be any place, real or imagined, an outdoor space, in any kind of environment we choose. We take a moment to settle into this sacred space, becoming aware of any smells, any tastes. We take in the amount of light and the quality of the light here. What we see and hear, whether there are any animals, plants, or anything else we become aware of. Now, as we find ourselves deeply relaxed, deeply comfortable in our sacred space, we begin our healing. First, we're going to align with the energies of the sun. We gaze up into the sky, and we see sunlight streaming down. It may be an extremely sunny day, or perhaps there are clouds obscuring our view of the sun. It may even be extremely cloudy. Whatever the weather, we know the sun is present, and we attune to those solar energies now. We feel its brilliant light. It may feel very yellow to us, perhaps more golden or a fiery orange. But we continue really picturing the sun's rays shining down on us. Perhaps we see streamers of light. Perhaps we see a gentle glow. Perhaps we really feel heat beating down on us. We take a moment to absorb this light and this heat from the energy of the sun. Continuing our deep breaths, continuing with the feeling of this intense solar light and warmth. We think of an area in our life where we could use more warmth and more light. We take a moment now to picture this situation or this feeling or this person or whatever it is in our life that we would like to send light and warmth to. We picture this strongly in our minds, and we feel ourselves pulling down this intense solar energy, this great cosmic source of heat and light, and we just see it wrapping this situation up, imbuing it with light and warmth. Once we feel the situation is fully infused with solar power, we give thanks to the energies of the sun. Now we turn to another celestial energy source. Also related and powered by the sun. This time, gazing up into the heavens, we see the light as it fades from day to night. And we see a radiant moon in the sky. We envision the night sky. It may be very dark, inky black. Perhaps it's a softer twilight hue, or purplish even. We see the night sky as it stretches before us and all above us. We picture the moon and its gentle light. It may be any moon, waxing or waning, full. Any moon we choose to envision. But as we gaze up, we do see a moon present in the night sky. We find ourselves attuning to this lunar light, its gentle qualities, of intuition, its softer, gentler energies. We may become aware of nighttime sounds all around us, the hooting of owls, the chirping of crickets, or another sound entirely. But we find ourselves opening up to these nighttime energies and really becoming aware of and in tune with the energy of the moon. We let this lunar light wash down on us, entering our minds, our bodies, our spirits. Filling us with a gentle peace as our intuition is awakened further. Now, reflecting on our life, we think of a place, a person, or a situation that may benefit from more intuition, more gentleness on our own part. Or perhaps just a place or person or situation that we would like to send some gentleness, some intuition to. Take a moment now to picture this area in your life or this area that you're aware of, and see the lunar energies shining down on it, full of peace, full of gentle light, full of this glowing luminosity. This situation is now shrouded in beautiful, peaceful light. Giving thanks to the moon and all of its lunar energies, we turn our attention to the last of the celestial powers we're going to experience today. And we focus on the stars in the sky. Now we see stretched out before us an array of stars. They may seem very cold and distant and far out of reach. They may seem bold and glowing and right before us. But there is a vast array of stars in the heavens, and we become aware of all these tiny pinpoints of light. We take a moment to just gaze at the sheer array of stars in the night sky. We take a moment to really appreciate their beauty, their brilliance, their light. We may be aware of the shapes they form, of the constellations. We may just see a few scattered bright lights here and there. We really feel ourselves connecting to the star's light. As we do, we picture a goal or a desire or a wish, if you like, that we would like for ourselves. We picture this and we imagine it encircled and surrounded by stars. We feel the energy of the stars. We feel it penetrate our wish or desire or goal with their light. Giving thanks to the stars and their energy for their aid, we begin to return to our own bodies, our own homes, taking deep and steady breaths. Feeling as we begin to align and attune fully in our own bodies, in our own homes. We take another deep breath and feel ourselves fully return. Welcome back. Welcome home. And thank you.
Hey, you're muted.
Thank you. I said, I hope that, thank you, Kelly, for the beautiful meditation. And you always are managed to take us deeper and deeper into ourselves, and such a beautiful experience. And for those who want to enjoy some of our other chapel services, I hope you found our website at ccwh.com. And while you're there, you find a drop-down menu labeled Get Involved, and there's a place to make a contribution if you care to, for which we certainly would be very grateful. And while you're there, you might want to become a member. Our affirmations are found there as well. And as we said before, a place to request prayers for someone in need. Thank you.
For 44 years, CCWH has been an amazing place for spiritual learning, growth, and value. We will continue to provide value that will enrich your spiritual journey. Donations big and small makes what we do possible. Please help us help you and others by making a donation today. Click here to visit ccwh.com. Thank you.
Now we'll go into our final. What we used to do was join our hands and sing "Let There Be Peace on Earth." Brenda, thank you.